Hey everyone, welcome back to New England Next Gen. So today I went and saw Riley Gaines in Maine. I drove all the way there. It was about a 3-hour trip. And now I'm going to be showing you the clip, and I did some interviews, and just to get, I'm going to give you my general message and my thoughts. So without further ado, before we roll the clip from the Riley Gaines event, I want to talk about why conversations like this matter. At the end of the day, biology isn't a political opinion. It's a scientific reality. There are only two genders, male and female, just as God intended. And that biological difference is exactly why we have two separate sports categories and is exactly why it's like that in the first place. It's about fairness, safety, and creating an equal playing field for women who train their entire lives to compete. I mean, this isn't just like, we're doing rec sports. This is like literally people depend on this for their scholarships to college and their future, and that's why this is so important. It's not about attacking anyone personally. It's about protecting the integrity of women's sports and making sure that biological females, and I know Riley Gaines even said don't use the word biological females, just say females, that, females don't lose opportunities, scholarships, records, or safety because of the rules that are being ignored or rewritten. Riley Gaines has been speaking out about this because she lived it. And whether people agree or disagree, it's important to actually hear what was said at the event and not what social media summarizes and not what headlines twist, but the real message from inside the room. So before we analyze anything, here's the clip from the Riley Gaines event. I know it's like an hour long. I promise you that I know a lot of people wanted to see this event and couldn't be there, so I do have to show the entire clip. You can fast forward if you want to go past the pastors that spoke in the beginning and then go skip right to Riley if that's what you like. It's totally up to you. But the real message was inside the room, so here's that clip, okay?
Again, I want to welcome you. My name is Pastor Travis, and I have the privilege of serving as the lead pastor here at Calvary Chapel, Greater Portland. We planted the church in the midst of a lockdown in 2020. Most of you guys remember 2020, don't you? And we have seen God do a tremendous work by honoring His Word. And here at Calvary Chapel, we take the church family verse by verse, chapter by chapter, through the Word of God. And it seems fitting that we would begin by giving a round of applause to the team, Leyland and Keith, and all the men and women who are involved in the Protect Girls Sports. We give a round of applause. Moments, and I'm going to try and honor those few moments that I have, but I want us to be mindful of some things that sadly many in our state and around our nation are not mindful of, and that is the fact that what we're dealing with here concerning men pretending to be women and getting involved in girls' sports. This is not a political, it's not so much a cultural, but more so it is a biblical issue. And when Leyland called me about a month ago, I was actually in a tree stand, I said, hello. And Leyland said, and I told him, Leyland, tell me what's going on. I just met him, a week or two before that, honoring the life of Charlie Kirk. And Leyland had given a pitch. I believe he was so used to churches shutting the door on him. And halfway through, I said, say no more. Yes, of course. And, well, how much is it going to cost? Say no more. I'm not going to charge anything. Please get Riley Gaines here. And because this is a biblical issue, gender is God's doing. And think about what, I'm going to give you a New Testament and an Old Testament reference. The Lord Jesus in Matthew 18, verse 6. And as I read this, can you picture a day where every public institution, including elementary, middle, and high schools in the state of Maine, imagine this verse being over every doorway of a school. Matthew 18, verse 6, whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to sin, it would be better for him if a millstone were hung around his neck and he were drowned in the depths of the sea. Can you imagine? Think about the reverence that would happen if every teacher, every coach, every principal, every parent walked into a schoolhouse and saw that warning. And sadly, we have allowed the institutes of higher learning, as they refer to themselves as an instrument of indoctrination, of some of the most evil and vile things, including the targeting of children. And so this is a very biblical issue. And it was the Lord Jesus speaking. I guess in the Old Testament it would have been the Father of God speaking, because the Lord Jesus was concealed to us in the Old Testament. But the Father God speaking to a nation, and think about this as our state. In the book of Deuteronomy, God lays out in 14 verses all the blessings for those who obey God's word. 14 verses. 54 verses follow concerning those who will not obey God's commands. I mean, God goes in great detail in Deuteronomy chapter 28 for those who will disobey and kick out some of the most obvious truths of the Bible. Think about what was said thousands of years ago. Deuteronomy 28, verse 28, God says, "It shall come to pass, if you do not obey the voice of the Lord your God, the Lord will strike you with madness, blindness, and confusion of heart." Are we not living in a day, in a state, where common sense is no longer a common virtue? I mean, I was sharing with Pastor John Amachuka moments ago. I was sharing with him that we grew up in a culture where Miss Doubtfire was comedy. A man progressing as a woman, it was comedy. But that's no longer the state we're living in. So I have a hard time as a preacher not continuing to preach. But here's the good news. A fiery preacher came to our state. And not just a fiery preacher, but a fiery protector of biblical issues came to our state. And so you don't know what, if you keep it more and welcome to my son, Pastor John Amachuka.
Can y'all help me one more time? Just thank God for this mighty warrior. I want to get into this real quick. It's sad that we have to do this, but we have to. So let's get down to business. I want to talk to you briefly about reprobate minds. And a reprobate mind is a person who has persistently rejected God, leading to a state of moral and spiritual corruption. Romans chapter 1, verses 18 says this. It says, "For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men, who hold the truth in unrighteousness." Verse 22 says, "Professing themselves to be wise, these people became fools." Verse 24 says, "Wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves, who changed the truth of God into a lie, and worship and serve the creature more than the Creator, who was blessed forever. Amen. For this cause God gave them up unto vile affections. For even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. And likewise, also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust one toward another, men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error, which was meet." Verse 28, "And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a reprobate mind, to do those things which are not convenient, being filled with all unrighteousness." This is the result of a reprobate mind. Paul is going to list some things here as relates to what happens when you have been turned over to yourself. He says, being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, whisperers, backbiters, haters of God, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents, without understanding, covenant breakers, without natural affection, implacable, unmerciful, who knowing the judgment of God, that they which commit such things are worthy of death, not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them. What we are witnessing in this country today, and especially in Maine, is what happens when God says, all right, enough is enough. You think that you know more than me. You think that you, being the creator, can instruct the creature can instruct the creator. God says, all right, I'm going to allow you to do what you want to do. And as a result of that, man always spirals downward. Who would have ever thought that we would have to defend There are over 6,500 cataloged physiological differences between men and women. Number one, muscle mass. Men have 30 to 40% more total muscle mass than women. Strength. a higher maximal strength. I'm a former Division I football player. I played at NC State University. I was pound for pound the strongest football player on the team. I could bench press 450 pounds, rep 315 pounds for 20 reps. I could leap buildings with a single bound. I could do all of these things simply because, as a male, I had a greater propensity towards athletic ability. Bones, that's another difference. Men have larger, denser bones, longer limbs and wider shoulders. Heart size. Men have a larger heart and a higher stroke volume. There's a difference in our hemoglobin, a higher oxygen output. We have higher VO2 maxes, which gives us a higher aerobic capacity. We have larger lungs, which gives us a higher capacity at competing and running and racing and swimming. Lower body fat percentage. Higher basal metabolic rate, which impacts our metabolism. You get the point. But just thinking about all of this, not too long ago, a guy by the name of William Thomas, I don't even know who Lee is. William Thomas jumped in the swimming pool to compete against Riley Gaines, only to find out that this guy who could not compete against men and beat them, he ultimately lost when he jumped in the swimming pool to compete against Riley Gaines because he tied her. And knowing the 6,500 differences genetically between men and women, it proves one thing. That in this whole quest of mankind having reprobate minds, God always has a way to outsmart the enemy. And now God has taken Riley and taken her platform to higher heights and given her a message and a voice for this age because she was willing to stand boldly and reject the ideology that gender is fluid. Let me tell you something. Gender is not fluid. It's frozen. And God froze it in Genesis 1:26-28. We are made in the imago Dei. We're made in the image of God. And God created us male and female. And then he told us to replenish the earth, be fruitful, and to multiply. And if you're not able to do so, then you are in a relationship that defies God's design and order. We oftentimes ask the question of where are the men? And how come the men aren't standing up? That's something that I have referenced many times as I have traveled this country, fighting against pornographic books that are in our libraries and books that seek to push gender theory and queer theory. I have a book right here entitled, It Feels Good to Be Yourself, a book about gender identity. And when you open this book and read the jacket of the book, it says this: some people are boys, some people are girls, some people are both, neither or somewhere in between. And this book is made available for kids ages 4 and up. And so this quest of gender dysphoria and gender confusion is being pushed upon our children. And if there's anyone that should be speaking up, it should be men, because men are the direct recipients of femininity. And a big hand clap goes right there. But I can't come to Maine and ask that question of where are the men? Because the men in Maine are standing up. Over to fight against the insanity of your governor. Let me tell you something. Janet Mills is not God. And she shall stand before the judgment seat of Christ to give an answer of what she's done in her body, whether it be good or bad. And Paul says, and knowing the terror of the Lord, we persuade men. One day, her knee is going to have to bow. And she'll have to confess that she went against God's order and God's design by forcing women to be defrauded of their rights. The men in Maine are standing. The churches are beginning to unite and mobilize. People are beginning to see that we can be vocal and speak out about what we believe. And so now we have another task. And that's for us who are gathered here today to go into our local communities and find 5 more and 10 more people who are like-minded and bring them over to our side and give them the boldness to stand like Pastor Travis Carey, to stand like Layland, and to stand like Riley Gaines. Because we know this, that when we go to the end of this book, we overcome Satan by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of our testimony. We can't get tired in doing well, but we must stand vigilant. Tomorrow is not promised, and today will never be again. But what we have in this moment is an opportunity to stand on the truths that have been delivered unto us by Almighty God. I say this in my closing. G.K. Chesterton once said this, that the greatest political storm flutters only a fringe of humanity. But an ordinary man and an ordinary woman and their ordinary children literally alter the destiny of nations. Will you be the ordinary man, woman, and child that's willing to stand against the culture regardless of what it costs you? God bless you. God bless you.
I don't know how I'm going to follow that. Following 2 preachers is not the right order to be in, I think. Hi, everybody. I'm Leyland Strife. I am the lead petitioner of the Protect Girls Sports in Maine ballot referendum. I am the co-lead of Maine Girl Dads, a coalition of over 8,000 dads fighting for sex-based rights. And I'm well aware of the fact that you want to hear from Riley a lot more than me, so I'm going to try not to be super long in what I have to say. There are a few things I wanted to say, though. The journey to today began less than a year ago. A lot has happened in 2025. In just February of this year, a male won the state championship in girls pole vaulting, jumping 6 inches higher than the girl that was forced to place 2nd place. In response, 8,000 dads banded together to form Maine Girl Dads, sending petitions to the Maine Principals Association, urging action. We were met with silence. In March, the Maine Girl Dads held a rally at the steps of the state capitol with Chloe Cole, demanding the MPA and the state legislature adopt Title IX and put an end to sex-based discrimination in our state. Once again, we were met with silence. This summer, incredible people and organizations like Parental Rights in Education and the Maine Education Initiative helped aid school districts to change their policies and align them with federal Title IX. Those school board members and those organizations are heroes. We collectively have found that we don't need to wait on Governor Mills and our state legislature to make a change. We don't need to wait on the MPA. We can do it ourselves. And so in September of this year, we officially filed a citizens initiative called the Protect Girls Sports in Maine ballot referendum, or as the Secretary of State has named it, an act to designate school sports participation and activities by sex. Its aim is simple: to end sex-based discrimination in our state, ensuring everyone gets to play competitive, fair, and safe sports by harmonizing state law with federal Title IX. This is inclusive. Under our act, absolutely everyone plays. No one is banned. Sports are designated by sex: male, female, and co-ed. This is fair. We still recognize that age and skill levels are appropriate categories for play. Well, sex matters too. Males and females are different. No social ideology will ever change the reality of biology. This is safe. Private, sex-based spaces are critical to the physical and mental health of our children. Accepting someone else's identity does not mean rejecting the importance and distinction of sex. And this is not political. We Maine Girl Dads have a saying that our stance is purely paternal, never political, and based in common sense. This is not a party line issue, and we celebrate and welcome everyone that stands with us. The truth is that this is an 80-20 issue, and the people of Maine deserve to decide on it, not the MPA, not the legislature. We, the people, should decide, and we intend to do just that. We need 68,000 signatures to get this issue on the ballot, and we've been hard at work. Over the past few weeks, the response has been electric. On Election Day alone, we captured 53,000 signatures. As our amazing volunteers hosted drive-through signings this past Saturday, we cleared 60,000 signatures. And today, I'd like to formally announce we've officially captured over 68,000 signatures. But we're not done yet. We need your help still to get this on the ballot. We want to hit 100,000 by early December to prove to Maine and to our Secretary of State that we're going to put an end to sex-based discrimination and that we're going to protect our girls, their sports, and their private spaces. So we have a few asks of you. Number one, please speak up. We need to be courageous. We need to stop being scared to have conversations on this topic, and we need to do so with charity in our hearts. Be compassionate with others, even those that you don't agree with. They're still human beings doing the best that they can. But we can't be silent. We can't be drowned out on this issue by a radical minority. We cannot be quiet in public in an effort to protect our professional or social station in life. We need to do and say the hard things, especially when it's hard to do so. So I ask all of you to be people of principle. Seek and speak the truth. And when you meet those that disagree, please do it agreeably. Number two, please get involved. We need your help. Your community needs your help. Of course, our campaign needs volunteers, notaries, and funds to continue working, not only through signature collection, but through next November. And Heidi's going to tell you a lot about that. But please visit our website, protectgirlsportsinmaine.com. We'll help you find a way to get involved. We can't do this without you, your voice, and your advocacy. But also get engaged on a local level. Be aware of your district policies, attend school board meetings, have conversations with other parents on the sidelines of games, help grow awareness of the plight of Maine sports, and the opportunity that all of us have today. And number three, help us get signatures. As I said, we want to get over 100,000 to prove a point and ensure the Secretary of State accepts our referendum. After our event, we're going to ask all of you to pick up a petition packet when leaving. If each of you gets 50 signatures, we will be done. This will officially be on the ballot. If you're here, you clearly care, and now is your chance to help us make history across the state. So don't leave here without stopping by those tables. The other thing, from a housekeeping perspective, I would ask that all of you stay seated after Riley speaks and listen to our last speaker, Heidi, who's our spokeswoman and maybe my personal hero as well over these past few months as she ends the event. This is really important. So lastly, I'd like to introduce you to an amazing woman that will say a few words and introduce Riley onto the stage. Sophia Pride is a swimming state champion in Maine. She's a fierce advocate for sex-based rights in sports and an outspoken voice of reason in politics and social issues in our state. So please welcome her.
Wow, can we take a moment to appreciate this beautiful crowd that we have here? So, thank you for being here this afternoon for an event focused on fairness, opportunity, and the future of girls and women's sports, as Maine seeks to be the first state where the voters' voices will be heard. These issues shape conversations in schools, colleges, and communities across our state and our country, and they matter deeply to athletes, families, and supporters who care about preserving the integrity of competition. We are fortunate to welcome someone who has become a leading voice in this national discussion. Because you're here, you've heard Riley's story. University of Kentucky swimmer with 12 All-American honors and SEC champion, you've heard of Riley. But how many other recent collegiate swimmers can you name? We know of Riley because she's stepped beyond the pool to share her experiences and raise awareness about what she believes, we believe, are essential protections for female athletes. Through speaking engagements, interviews, and advocacy, Riley is doing hard work, bringing attention to the importance of fairness, safety, and equal opportunity in women's sports, emphasizing the responsibility we all share and ensuring that female athletes have the space and support they need to succeed. Just competing in sports is hard. Succeeding is even harder. But doing hard things is what builds character, independence, confidence, and success. Hard work is what built America. A president once rallied our great nation with the words, "We do this and other things not because they are easy, but because they are hard." I first heard about Riley when I was a 14-year-old high school freshman swimming competitively, and yes, it was hard. I vividly remember the strength and courage she showed in a culture that often tried to silence voices like hers. Having the opportunity not only to meet Riley, but to introduce her today is absolutely a dream come true. I don't think I would have tried as hard with my performance as a high school swimmer or have a passion for political advocacy if it weren't for her story. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Riley Gaines.
I hope you guys feel at least a little bit silly for giving someone a standing ovation for merely saying that men and women are bullshit. Thank you guys. What a blessing it is to be here. And goodness gracious, to look out and see so many young faces. This is truthfully not the norm, so to see this, I just feel so hopeful and I feel so inspired. And before I say anything else, I just want to say I hate going after Pastor John. Thank you for your bold proclamation of the Lord and His goodness. Very grateful for you and everything that you do for Turning Point. What a beautiful introduction. Very, very excited to be here. Like I said, this is not often the crowds that I find myself in front of. I would imagine living in Maine, maybe similar situations you have found yourself in. It's been a passion of mine these past few years to get on campuses, to reach young people, high schoolers, college-age kids, getting on campuses, coast to coast, border to border, liberal universities, private Christian universities, everything in between. Not too long ago, I went to San Francisco, which was my first mistake. But I went there, honestly, to share a similar message. San Francisco State University, guess I was just naive, to believe that these students and community members would come with an open mind and the willingness to have their hearts softened, because they did not. They came with pitchforks and fire. And upon delivering my message, in a similar form as a classroom setting, so a podium at the front, door at the back, a group of protesters rush in, they ambush me, fully accosted, turn the lights off so it's pitch black, I'm being pushed, I'm being shoved, I'm being punched in the face by these men wearing dresses, which fortunately for me, their punches don't hurt that bad. Nonetheless, these protesters ended up holding me for ransom for about 4 or 5 hours, demanding that if I wanted to make it back home to see my family safely again, I had to pay them money. Might be wondering, where were the police? We were in San Francisco, so the police were being held for ransom with me. Hour 3, hour 4 in this room, I'm looking at the officers, can't you do something? Actually, isn't it your job to do something? To which they verbatim said, no, we can't do anything. We're not allowed to do anything because we're not allowed to be seen as anything other than an ally to this community, or else we'll lose our jobs. Again, the same community is on the other side of the door, calling these officers racist pigs for protecting a white girl like me. Anyways, it's about midnight at this point. They were holding me through the middle of the night. The dean of students shows up and starts negotiating with the students how much I owed each of them to be able to leave, which the price they ultimately agreed upon was $10 each, which makes me mad because I think I'm worth more than $10. But anyways, we were eventually able to get out of this room. Not because the protesters or the mob dispersed, but about 40 or so officers formed a diamond around me. We pushed out. But the most remarkable part about this was what happened the next day when the vice president of student affairs at the university sent out a university-wide email. So to all faculty, all professors, all staff, the entire student body. And in this email, she said, "We are so proud of our brave students who held Riley Gaines in the manner that they did. We know how deeply traumatic her presence is on this campus, and so here's some counseling resources for you all. Take the day off of school." They literally got the day off of school as college students. Just know that we see you, we hear you, we love you, and we stand with you. Nowhere in this email did it condemn violence, violence against women for that matter. Nowhere in this email did it say that we uphold, we understand the value in our First Amendment rights, free speech. No, of course not. I could describe, seriously, like hundreds of similar scenarios where I've been spit on, drinks poured on me, glass bottles thrown at me, the most obscene, profane, heinous things you could possibly think of being said to me. So when I say I'm grateful to be in this room, please know I mean that from the very, very bottom of my heart. Look, it wasn't too long ago where I was sitting next to President Trump at the White House as he signed an executive order barring men from participating in women's sports within any educational program that receives federal funds. And maybe some of you remember like the clips or the images or the visuals that surfaced following this signing. You know, you have President Trump surrounded by a sea of young girls. I'm talking like 5, 6, 7-year-old. They're wearing their sports uniform or their jersey, or they've got their big bows in their hair that they wear on the soccer field. Let me tell you what, that visual means more to me than I could possibly put into words. So when I hear someone like Governor Mills, I think in what she thought was like this mic drop moment where she tells President Trump, "I'll see you in court." When I see this encounter, I believe what she thinks she's doing is pushing back against President Trump, giving President Trump a middle finger, if you will. That's not at all what she's doing. You know what she's doing is she's giving a middle finger to every single one of those little girls who was there that day, standing beside her. I'll just give you the 30,000-foot overview of how I have found myself in this situation, standing behind this podium talking to you guys. Was a collegiate swimmer, swam at the University of Kentucky, did some great things in my career, things that I'll forever be proud of. 12-time All-American, 5-time SEC champion, actually the SEC record holder in the 200 butterfly, making me one of the fastest Americans of all time. Very past tense now. 2-time Olympic trial qualifier, SEC Scholar Athlete of the Year, SEC Community Service Leader of the Year. The list goes on, but just to highlight the point, it's a lifelong journey, right, to be able to compete at and succeed at the highest level, which I know I don't have to tell the people in this room. I had the pleasure of being able to speak to so many of you, especially those of you who are in high school or in college, those of you who play sports, maybe some of you are parents of athletes, former athletes, right, like you get it. The time and the hours and the dedication and the sacrifices that you have to make, again, to compete and be successful. I was no different. I'll just flash forward to my senior year. Senior year rolls around, I had set a goal to win a national title, which would of course mean becoming the fastest woman in the country in my respective event. Right on pace to achieve this goal. About midway through my senior season, I was ranked 3rd in the nation in the 200 freestyle, trailing the girl in 2nd, a girl I knew very well, by a few 100ths of a second. Right, swimming, similar to track and field, it's a sport that's measured in very small margins, hundredths of a second. Quicker than a blink of an eye. I knew the girl in 2nd. The person leading the nation was a name that I had never heard of. And this person was leading the nation by body links. First time I became aware of a swimmer named Leah Thomas. Lots of red flags. Bear in mind we hadn't seen a photo of this person or else things would have been a little more clear. But for all we knew at the time, this was a senior from the University of Pennsylvania, which is not a school that has ever historically produced this caliber of swimmer, leading the nation again by body links in events ranging from the 100 freestyle, which is a sprint, all the freestyle events in between through the mile, which is of course long distance. And if you think about that piece, I mean, think about your Olympic runners. That's like saying your best 200-meter runner is your best marathon runner, right? It doesn't happen. Like, they're two totally different systems. That's what we were seeing in this athlete. I'm looking up the name Leah Thomas. There's no history of this person. It was as if this person literally didn't exist until that season. Talking to my coach, who is this? We had no idea. And we continued to stay in the dark until an article came out disclosing very briefly that Leah Thomas is actually Will Thomas, and swam 3 years on the men's team at University of Pennsylvania before deciding to switch to the women's team for a senior year. When I read this, I was shocked, right? Naturally, my whole team was shocked. But really, I felt this sense of relief. Like, oh, duh, that makes sense. This person's a man. That feeling of relief was only further solidified when I went to look up who Will Thomas was. In these same databases I was searching the name Leah Thomas, I found that Will Thomas was really a less than average male swimmer, competing in his rightful category, the men's category, at the Division I level, ranking in the 400s and 500s nationally before, again, 12 months later, dominating the entire country of women. Like, that's why I say I felt relieved. I thought the NCAA would see it how I saw it, and how my teammates saw it, and how my coaches saw it, and how my parents saw it, and how anyone with any amount of brain activity would probably comprehend this. Right? Nothing hateful about it. Nothing even opinionated about it. Looking at the mere facts on the paper in front of us, that this was not a lateral movement. But lo and behold, the NCAA did not see it that way. They saw nothing wrong with this. And so about 3 weeks before our national championships, they released a statement saying that his participation in the women's category was a non-negotiable. Meaning, there was nothing we could do. No questions that we could ask, no concerns that we could raise. We were literally told we had to accept this with a smile on our face. And so I watched that first day. It was the 500 freestyle, which is not an event that I typically do. So I watched from the side of the pool as he swam to a national title, beating out Olympians, beating out American record holders. I mean, again, these aren't scrubs. They're the most impressive, the most accomplished, the fastest female swimmers this world has ever seen. And he beat them all by body lengths. The next day was the day that he and I raced in the 200 free. So, get on the blocks, top 8 women in the entire country. And I look over at the lane next to me, and there was what was very visibly a man. 6'4", size 15 feet, taking up the entire diving block. It's literally like South Park episode. I want to be headline, like an SNL skit when SNL was actually kind of funny. We dive off, we swim 8 laps of freestyle, touch the wall at the end, and almost impossibly enough, we had tied. Meaning we went the exact same time down to the 100th of a second, which is rare, right? You're racing for 1 minute and 40 seconds, and not even 1/100th of a second separated us. Which, looking back now, you can't tell me that's not divine intervention. But anyways, we get out of the water, we go behind the awards podium where the NCAA official looks at both him and me, him towering over me, and he says, "Great job, you two, but you tied. We don't account for ties. We only have 1 trophy, so we're going to give the trophy to him. Sorry, Riley, you just don't give up. You can pose with this one, but you have to give yours back. He takes the trophy home. You go home empty-handed. End of story." And let me tell you what. That was the moment when for me, right? I knew all season. We all did. I knew the unfair competition was wrong. I knew the locker room scene was wrong. I knew the silencing that we were facing as women, as student athletes, as female athletes. I knew that was wrong. But in that moment, understanding that we were being used as women, as like a photo op to validate this man's feelings, his sense of happiness, that's when I was just no longer willing to wait. And I say wait because that's what I was doing. I'm ashamed to say it. I was waiting for someone else to do something because I thought someone else would. I thought surely there would be a coach. Surely there would be someone within the NCAA, someone with political power, some other swimmer, someone's dad, I don't know, would come down there and yank this man out of our locker room like my dad so desperately wanted to do. But it was really in that moment, standing on that podium, holding this trophy I knew I had to give back sharing my placement with a man standing again 9 inches taller than me, when I just had this realization of, Riley, how in the world can you expect someone to stand up for you if you're not even willing to stand up for you? So that kind of in short, again, the unfairness coupled with the locker room, which very briefly, it's impossible to put into words. The feelings of just total violation and humiliation and betrayal when you're in an intimate area of undressing, right? I'm sure some of you, I've talked to some of you who are swimmers, right? Your racing suit is skin tight. It's paper thin. It takes like 20 minutes to really poke and prod yourself into these suits. And that's 20 minutes of which you're fully exposed. When you have your back turned, you're putting on your suit, and all of a sudden you hear a man's voice in the locker room. Like it's instinctual. Like you flick your head around, had to look up. He's getting so much taller than everyone. And there's a man taking off his women's swimsuit, fully naked, fully intact, fully exposing himself. Inches away from where we were simultaneously fully undressed as women. And again, with the silencing piece, really the emotional blackmail. I don't use that phrasing lightly. How we had to participate in, I had to go to sensitivity training, which it didn't really work, but I had to go. My university sat me down, a 21-year-old senior in college at the time, and they told me how to use she, her pronouns in a sentence. I had to keep going through this training until verbatim they felt like I had been properly re-educated. We had to participate in restorative justice circles, where we learned about how we were the oppressors. He was the victim. Again, he just wanted to be happy. We were impeding on his happiness. Yes, you're playing and swimming, competing at the Division I level. Yes, it's the national championships, which like the top 1% of the top 1% make it to. So it's the pinnacle of your sport, but some things matter more than winning. This isn't really about winning. This is about happiness, being inclusive, that's what they said. Which, let me tell you, the language and just how conflated our words, the English language, have become. Words like inclusion, when you hear that, which sports in their true nature are inclusive, okay? Anyone and everyone can and should play sports. I'm the biggest advocate for every single person, regardless of any identity factor, regardless of what religion you are, what color your skin is, your sexual identity, who cares? Everyone should play sports. Sports is what has given me the leadership to be able to do what I do. No one should be denied that. No one is denied that, okay? So sports in their true nature are inclusive. Right. But it's not inclusive? Competition. That's right. In its true nature, by its definition, it's exclusive because you have a winner. Exclusion is not a bad thing. Hear me when I say that. There are places where exclusion is actually necessary. It's a good thing. And in those places, we should embrace exclusion. And now when you hear someone of the other side, and I hate to make it partisan, because truthfully, this is not a partisan issue. It's really not. Unfortunately, that's the way it's played out among elected representation, and certainly in how the media portrays these issues. They make it seem very polarizing. It's really not. But when you hear someone who's standing on the House floor, the Senate floor, and they use the word, and they're from the Democratic Party, and they use the word inclusion, your brain should automatically replace that word with exclusion. Because what we face as women, it was not inclusive. It was exclusive. And it was exclusive to the very women that the female sporting category was created to protect and to uphold. Same thing with words like compassion and empathy. These are wonderful things in their true nature, but they have been totally misconstrued. It is not compassionate to lie. That's not what compassion is. That's not what empathy is. No, that's doing real harm. And in this case, it's harm that could ultimately lead to cutting off of healthy body parts. Okay, understand the gravity of which we're talking about. Which, in speaking to the medicalization side of things, I don't think it will be long before we accurately look back and call that what it is, which is the biggest medical scandal this world has ever seen. And a very, very profitable one. So we've seen an onslaught of just deceitful and destructive, even the phrasing the phrase of gender-affirming care, it sounds like a positive thing, right? They use that word affirmation. It sounds really good. It's a lie. There's nothing affirming about telling people they're correct to feel as if they're born wrong. What a horrible message. It's no wonder, and I say this, like, truthfully, this is tragic. It is no wonder the suicide rate among this demographic is so high. They're being told they're correct to feel as if they're born wrong. It's a horrible message. We should be telling them, as Christians, as human beings, as people who care deeply and passionately about the truth, we should be telling them that they're perfect, just the way God so intentionally and uniquely created them. So I say that to say, be mindful of the words that you use. Even the phrasing of biological woman, I think, is detrimental. Right? It implies that there's some form of like an unbiological alternative to being a woman, which there's not. Male and female will suffice. Man and woman, boy and girl, mother, father. That is just enough. You don't need the prerequisite of biological when describing yourself or anyone else for that matter. It just muddies the water. It confuses people. My grandma will read articles. She'll send them to me with, it uses trans woman, trans men. My grandma will send it to me and be like, wait, so is a trans woman a man who's a woman, or is it a woman who's a man? And I have to tell her, Gammy, I don't even really know, to be honest. I'm confused just as much as you are. So use clear language for everyone's sake. That's the most kind and loving and compassionate thing you can do. I want to spend just a brief second and tell you about what's going on here in the state of Maine, which you guys live in, so I don't really need to tell you. We have seen many boys in many different sports win countless races, even state championships here in the state. You have an attorney general here in this state. I want to read this quote directly because it is quite ironic. In a press release earlier this year, after Governor Mills had her moment with President Trump that absolutely backfired, by the way, your attorney general released a statement, and it says, word for word, nothing in Title IX or its implementing regulations prohibits schools from allowing transgender girls and women to participate on girls and women's sports teams. That is exactly what Title IX was created to prevent. It's exactly what Title IX was created to prevent. Under the previous administration, President Biden, he illegally and administratively rewrote Title IX to include men as women by, again, conflating the phrases of gender identity and sex, making these words like interchangeable, synonymous. They're not. They're not at all. So in your state statute or your state constitution, when you have protected classes, one being sex and one being gender identity, understand those are in direct conflict with one another. You cannot protect both of those things at the same time. Okay? There has to be a compromise somewhere. So understand that. So your attorney general sucks, by the way. Not everyone in this state sucks, because you've got people like Laurel Libby, which and to speak on the House floor for defending girls and women. No, this did not happen in England or in Afghanistan, this type of censorship. It happened right here in America, in the state of Maine. It's not progress. They love that word. They say it's progressive, what we're doing, indicating we're moving in the positive forward direction. This isn't progress. It's regressive. It's taking us back in time at least half a century. And it's utterly misogynistic. We've seen boycotts, which have been we've dubbed this as Project Boycott, with emphasis on the word boy, where girls, maybe it's an individual sport, maybe it's a team sport, they get up to the net, they realize there's a boy on the opposing team, and they say, look, we're not playing. We're going to forfeit this, and yes, we might technically suffer a loss on our record, but you know what? Some things matter more than victory. The truth is one of those things. Our safety is one of those things. We have fantastic advocates who is yes, absolutely, who is a coach and an official who so bravely, in a time where, again, even just a year ago, wasn't as received. Think of the leadership that we had a year ago at the national level. It wasn't easy to say that boys can't become girls, that there are two sexes, that you can't change your sex, that each sex is deserving of equal opportunity, of privacy, and of safety. But Alan did. People like Julia Dietrich, which I believe she's here too. Yes. Who has gone to school board meetings and used her voice, who's faced immense pushback, by the way, for doing such, but nonetheless a fantastic representation of the people in this room and beyond. We've seen Turning Point chapters. How many of you are involved with a Turning Point chapter, whether it's at your college or high school? We've seen those really grow, not just here in the state of Maine, but across the nation these past 2 months. Obviously, in light of the tragic, horrific, premature death, murder, assassination of Charlie Kirk, which I would imagine, like many of you, like it's feelings of just disbelief and shock, and it turns to grief and being tearful, and then it turns to anger, honestly, and rage. How could this happen? How is he really gone? How do you see people celebrating this online and beyond in your personal life? But being here and seeing this, honestly, like I said, I feel just hopeful and inspired, so thank you guys. All that to say, it is amazing to me that we are still here fighting this fight, that the Democratic Party has doubled down. They have not distanced themselves from their voting record or from their statements or from their positions like I thought they would. I really did. When President Trump won, I thought they would, slowly start to recant. That's not what they've done. Let's view every Democrat at every level, local, state, and federal. We saw what happened in Virginia, the Attorney General, who won, by the way. This is a man who said that he wishes to watch the children of his political opponents die in their parents' arms. The state's top law enforcement officer, anyone, that is a condemnation of humanity. The past, I guess 3-ish years, I've talked to countless parents, young girls, coaches in the state of Maine who have virtually all said the same thing. Why won't they protect me? Why won't they protect my athlete or my daughter? I've talked to girls who have lost out on spots on the team, on roster spots. I've talked to girls who have been exploited and simultaneously exposed to naked men in locker rooms. I've talked to girls who have been severely injured in their sports due to men on the opposing team. Maine has for too long turned its back on women and girls. Again, you can't protect the rights of girls to play fair and safe sports and also protect the boy who wants to take their place. It's a choice, and again, Maine has dismissed its girls. I'm here to tell you that you can, and there's no shame in saying and standing up for our girls. So I guess my encouragement to you guys is to speak out, say what's right, say the controversial thing, do what's right, because at the end of the day, it's going to take all of us. This message that I'm here to share, that we're here to share, that Maine Girl Dads has done a fantastic job of rallying behind, it's not one that's anti-anything. I hate that verbiage. They call us transphobic. It's such a stupid word. It holds no weight, okay? They'll call you racist, or you insert it. They mean nothing now. They've lost their meaning because they've been used. These are, again, they're pretty horrible words in their true meaning. They don't mean anything anymore. This message, it's not anti-anything, it's pro-something, it's pro-reality, it's pro-science, what happened to follow the science? It is pro-safety, pro-equal opportunity, pro-privacy, it's pro-woman. And if being pro-woman is anti-trans, then so be it. Okay? Be willing to do it. Very quickly about this ballot initiative. Again, the ballot initiative or referendum and the lack of leadership are, again, very few in the legislature and people across the state. It's going to reveal something for all Mainers, which I just learned you guys call yourself that. All Mainers and Americans to see. When you get to the ballot box in November, you will likely see a question that says something to the effect of, do you believe that sports should be separated on the basis of sex? And so here's what I want you to challenge yourself and for you to go out and challenge others. Number one, do you believe that women are worthy of safety on the field, on the court, or in their everyday lives for that matter? Yes or no? Okay, do you believe that women are worthy of calling themselves champions?
Yes.
Okay, do you believe that women are worthy of privacy in areas of undressing?
Yes.
Then the answer is really, really simple. Then you support this referendum, this initiative, this effort that all of you in this room have already rallied behind, people like Maine Girl Dads. There's a real opportunity here for the state of Maine to lead. It's really hard to get something like this done. Again, when you're working against the legislature, and obviously against the governor, and against the Attorney General. It's not easy, but you have the opportunity for your voice to be heard, and I promise you so many other states are watching. There have been 27 states that have passed some sort of fairness in women's sports law at this point. None in this, I guess, by these means. So you could be the first, and that's a really cool feat. And guess what? You give courage and hope to people like in states like Pennsylvania or Colorado, where, again, their legislature can't do it. They can't even get out of committee. So they need their people. This is encouraging, not just to the state, but across the nation. So again, thank you guys for being here. She's standing over here, which means she wanted me to stop talking a long time ago. I know what that means. Very grateful. Young people in the room, get involved with your Turning Point chapter. If you're here, you're not involved with the Turning Point chapter, I highly, highly recommend. There are people here who can help point you in the right direction of how to get involved, how to use your voice. I said young people, so I guess I have to say something to the old people too. And if you're offended by that, it's probably because you're old. Old people, or I should probably say people with money. Maybe that sounds better. There are wonderful ways, of course, to get involved. Volunteer efforts, which I know at Maine Girl Dads.
That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Can you guys hear me? Do I have to hold it closer to my face? Okay. I can be loud. So I'm Heidi Sampson, and I am the executive director of the Maine Education Initiative, which is sort of the parent of Maine Girl Dads. And my team and I wanted to help dads fight back to protect their girls. And Maine Girl Dads was born, and now they're their own entity, so it's pretty exciting. So I just want to thank you, Riley. As a fellow collegiate swimmer, I have been following her from the very beginning, very proud of her standing up and having battled this issue here in Maine, being in the legislature for a number of years. I remember former Governor Paul LePage is in the audience, and I remember sitting down with him. Of bad news and share with him information about how they were transitioning our kids. And the horror gripped his heart as he was running to, for governor. And it's like, how in the world do we deal with this? So that was a number of years ago. And here we are today. And so we heard from Leland that we have reached our goal to, the cap, the number that we needed. However, there are going to be issues as far as, double signatures or people that aren't registered or a host of other things. And so we need to have that buffer. And why are we doing this? Well, we want to reclaim the rights for our girls. And it's been said several times already that it's almost surreal that we have to even talk about this. You feel like you're in like an altered universe. And so that's where we are, however. And because of that situation, this young lady, because I'm an old lady, has blessed us in coming. And are you inspired? And are you excited to get involved? So Riley came here to get us motivated. You hear her story. This is happening to girls all over the country. It's happening to our girls here in Maine. We're having our girls getting injured. We're having girls having to and we've got some in here that have testified to this, having to change in locker rooms. And, all of the hardships that these girls are having to do. Why are they being put in this position? Why are they erasing our girls? And so we would like to have all of us, and Sophia said it so nicely, all of us pull together today. You have an opportunity. Everything in life is a choice. So you're going to have a choice, and I'm going to give it to you at the end. But we have an opportunity to really make a difference here in Maine, and we can make history here in Maine. Because like Riley said, all eyes are on Maine right now. When our governor opened her mouth and said, "See you in court," everyone's been paying attention to what's going on in Maine. So I want to ensure success, and I'd like you all to help us. And with Riley standing here supporting this effort, we are going to have to deal with two things, and I'm going to talk about. Number one, we are going to have to raise money. So that's the harsh reality, because we've gotten the signatures. Now we have the whole campaign, once it gets on the ballot, and then getting it across the finish line. So we are not even halfway. That's the big heavy lift. So I am here today to ask how many in this room are willing to, are the QR codes up? Okay, wonderful. So technology is working in our favor today. So who in this room is willing to donate, you've got the QR code, $1,000? Please stand up. Senator Libby. Oh, look at these people. Please. John Hathaway, your leg's broken? Okay, this is called back at you.
I was waiting for you to say 2,000.
Okay. He likes to make fun of me when I'm speaking. So we'll ask interesting questions. So, all right, not everybody can give 1,000. How many could give 500? Please stand up. 500. Thank you. How about 100? Who can do 100? All right, take it off the keyboard. Thank you. How about $20? And lock it in, baby. So the second step is going to be about the signatures. So I just want to give Riley a chance before she scoots out of here to say something to you all about this.
Yes. So the signatures, I understand that when you leave here, there will be a packet that you can grab. I would encourage each of you to utilize this within your circle of influence. Every single person has a circle of influence, whether it's at school, whether it's on your liberal college campus, whether it's in your workplace. Every single person has it. Utilize it. Get people to sign it, overcompensate for it. So if we could get 100,000 signatures, fantastic. There was no room for any sort of negotiation or confusion there. Really, really recommend this to you guys. And again, the giving portion, I encourage you to look at it as if, not as if you're giving to, these groups, but rather you're giving through them. And again, what you're doing is you're creating a safe, fair, and I guess equal future for your kids and grandkids. So, thank you.
I'm asking you all to think about, do you know 75 people maybe? And if you can, connect with them and get 50 signatures. Can you get 50 signatures in a week? Sophia was talking about doing hard things. Hard work, nothing worth doing doesn't require hard work. You have to work hard to accomplish great things. Just like Riley had to work hard, Sophia, she worked hard. We're going to all work hard together. We're going to pull together. We have the petitions, packets of petitions with instructions in them for you, and a few so that you can get them for each town, if there's a few different towns. But I want you to think about, why are we doing this? This is to get us over the top, number one. Number two, to protect our girls. And number three, to make history. And guess what? We as voters, we can vote to protect our girls, but we can also vote to kill a really dumb idea. So we can collect signatures to get us on the ballot for November 2026 in record time, in about a month. We'll have it done. And you all can help us make it happen. And we will be the ripple for the rest of the nation. And I'm excited. We want to get the petitions done, collected, signatures in by December 1st. So there's contact information in there. You can always call us and ask for any assistance if you have any questions. And let's dig deep, people. You know what, if you ever ran, if I was a swimmer, you ran track, you dig deep that last sprint to the finish. We're at that point. So yes, you're going to be sucking wind at the end, but you know what? Let's do it. Dig deep and push hard. And if every one of you here can help us with that, we will make it across the finish line by December 1st. And I want to thank you all. Thank you so much for coming. We have something for you to do at the bottom of the stairs. We've got people who are collecting signatures. So if you're a registered voter in the state of Maine, go on downstairs and sign away. Thank you all. God bless.
All right, and now I'm going to show you the clip of the interviews I did for the students that attended the event. I just got to walk around and picked a few people that could talk. So right now I'm going to show you that clip. All right, so I'm going to interview, I'm at the Riley Gaines event, and I'm just interviewing a few people that I'm coming by why they're here. So I'm going to ask them. So what's your name?
My name is Emily.
Emily. So why did you come here today?
I came here today because it's very important to me to protect women's sports and to protect especially children's sports too. I know for me personally, I'm planning on having kids in a few years. I got married last year, so I really want. It's very, very important to protect those kids in schools and also just keep things fair. Especially.
And why do you think that it's so polarizing right now? Like, why do you think it's such a big issue? Why do you think people feel one way and like they're not? There's only one way, like left or right, instead of like meeting in the middle.
I think this isn't just I don't think it's a gray area issue. I think it's black or white. I think it's very important. I do believe there's only two genders. I think that Um, we need to keep things. I know. I'm trying to think. Sorry. I think it's really important because I do believe there's only two genders. I don't think it's a issue on how somebody's feeling what they should do. I think we just need to stick to the truth, stick to the facts. There's only those two kinds of chromosomes. I think it's very important to stick to that and stick to the truth. Yeah.
Is there anything else you would want to say to like college students? I know you guys actually are college students, but is there anything that you would want them like? What do you think that they should look for as far as like when they're on social media? Like, how should they try to figure out like the truth about this topic, or what would you recommend to them as far as this, like what to think about?
I think it's very important to be careful when you're on social media that you cannot just believe everything you see. You need to do your own research. You need to not just follow, even you need to even look at both sides too and understand where both people are coming from. But it's important to do your own research and look at what the truth is instead of just what you feel or listen to what somebody else feels.
Well, thank you so much. So, do you, anyone you guys want to talk about why you came? No? Yeah? Yeah? Okay. So, what's your name?
Anna.
All right, so this is Anna. And I'm asking her why she came to the event.
I just came here kind of probably similar to what everyone else is saying, just supporting women in sports because I think like this whole world, you hear feminism, women matter, women almost first. But then when it comes to sports, it's almost like they're letting them degrade everything they've worked for. So it's just like, I think if you truly support women, then you're going to want to keep men's and women's sports separate because it's just reality that they're different fields and different strengths. It's not a diss on women. It's just how we're made and how we're created.
Yeah. Is there anything important that you'd want to tell college students on this topic, like um, what they should look into or how they should research on the topic, and any advice basically for them?
Yeah. I think college age is just a really like hard and weird time because all your friends, it's almost so easy to get peer pressured, and college is like, sadly, it's important, but it's also designed for us to all agree with the left. I mean, that's just reality. But I think you really, if you want to be involved, you find groups that have the same mind as you because then you're going to continue to grow together rather than trying to do it by yourself, surrounded by people who are going to make fun of you and make you feel bad for speaking the truth.
Well, thank you so much. So now that you've seen part of that event, or basically all of the event, and you've heard from the students who attended, I think that the core point becomes even clearer. Protecting women's sports isn't hateful, it's common sense. Acknowledging biological differences is not discrimination, it's how sports have always been structured. Women deserve fair competition, equal opportunities, and spaces where their hard work isn't overshadowed by biological advantages that they can't compete against. I mean, we're just not the same. I mean, if you heard the pastor in the beginning, if you guys did listen to that part of the clip, there's so much. I think he said it was like 65 different things anatomy-wise that make us different than men. And you can change below the waist, but that doesn't change all the other differences that women have. There's just too much biology essentially that comes with being a woman. So with that being said, we can respect every individual while still being honest about science, fairness, and what's best for female athletes. That's what this conversation is really about. My goal with New England Next Gen is to bring real voices, real reactions, and real discussions straight from people who witness these events firsthand. It's not filtered, it's not spun. I mean, you saw me, I went right up to them and was like, I didn't even know her name. But these are just honest perspectives of why they go there. This is important to all of us. It's all the younger generation sees the same issues that the older generations, see as well. And we need to make sure that we're trying to make a change in this world to make it better for the future. Like when that girl Emily, she was speaking about how she just got married and she plans to want to have children. She wants things to be different so that when she does have children, that it can be better for her children. So without, going much further into that, if you want more on-the-ground coverage, student opinions, and real debates across New England, make sure to subscribe, share, and join the conversation. I do say that I've been, if you noticed my last video, I talked about the story about the Hanover Woman Selectmen, select women, I should say. But we talk about different perspectives and different ideas, and I'm all for that. When people come to me with a story, I don't take an opinion on it unless I really have an opinion on it. I just try to bring the reality of certain situations, and then I also do the debates that we do every Friday. except for when we have certain holidays like Black Friday. We're still debating whether we're going to have a actual debate night that night, just because people need to have time with their families. Family is really important. And that's about it, guys. So feel free to send comment, and also you can email me at New England Next Gen 2025 at Yahoo. Or you can go to the website. I still have to upload the latest episodes to the website, but the website is newenglandnextgen.com. And there's a contact form there, or you can just email me a video, and if you want your story to be told, I can then put it on the website. I'm very open to everything. Like, if you have a viewpoint that you want to be shared or talked about, I will take your video and I will post it. I don't do editing, as far as like I'm not going to spin it in a certain way. I'm very upfront about everything. I'm a truth seeker. I seek the truth in all things. If I can't find it, I'd look for it. And everybody who's met me knows that. So, without further ado, I hope you all have a great night. I hope you have a great weekend. Tomorrow is Sunday. We're going to be going into a new week, and then it's Thanksgiving. So I hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I'm sure I'll do another podcast before Thanksgiving. But I love you all, and I thank you so much for joining me on this. Bye, guys.